Congratulations to Mark Waid for raising $80,000 for his legal defense fund in the cause of action of Meyer V Waid for tortious interference with contract and defamation. At his fundraiser page on GoFundMe, I don't see his comments. There used to be comments. It's funny because he said he wouldn't take them down, but that was a while ago. Oh, here are his comments. I don't know the artist for this, so I'm just going to attribute it to Scotty, which is hysterical. Mark Waid, you committed an illegal act called tortious interference. You have no moral high ground here, and you have misused GoFundMe to pay for your illegal activities. Shogo says, not a rich man, lives in Santa Monica, California. Diane says, Comicsgate is a hate group. I wonder. Charles, Mark Waid is a bully and a liar and a whiny man-child. He decided, because of his opinion about Richard Meyer, that he should have the right to interfere with Antarctic Press and Meyer's business. He made the decision to call and hound Antarctic Press until they broke contract with Meyer. It's called tortious interference, and it is a crime. He is not a hero to anyone. Damien, there's so many false descriptors here, I'm surprised the rest of Mark's head fur didn't instantly catch on fire. Shogo comes back. Comicsgate and hashtag Move the Needle is the only thing driving sales in the comic industry now. That and 31 variant covers on a garbage #1 issue. I can see why you call yourself a poor man, Waid. No one is buying any of your books because no one is interested in listening to your preaching. Mark Waid is the best thing to happen to the comic book industry in the last 30 years. Meyer is the opposite of that. What's more important, Waid is in the right here. Antarctic Press even said so themselves. I press F to doubt. Stan, to people like Chas who are wondering, I'm quite happy to see these slanderous comic pros flush their money down the toilet, if that turns out to be the case. What I don't like to see is struggling fans paying for Mark's Santa Monica Waid's bad behavior. It annoys me to see anyone being grifted, even if I think they're being dumb. And to one of the earlier commenters, even if that person was authorized to speak on behalf of the Antarctic Press, which I'm pretty sure they weren't, they also admit that, Mark, give me your noodle money so I don't have to spend my riches. Waid was part of the reason they breached their agreement with Richard Meyer. There is probably a good reason he's asking for the exact amount as damages claimed against him. Actually, that amount of $75K is a civil procedural thing. It deals with diversity jurisdiction in federal courts. You can Google that if you're interested in civil procedure, which you shouldn't be because it's very, very boring. Thomas says it's remarkable how many people are willing to shell out money to a millionaire comic book writer to help him fight a lawsuit he brought down on himself when they could have been spending that cash on comics. Oh, and in case you guys didn't hear, one of Waid's business partners just came forward and had some interesting things to say about the sort of person he is. Check out the article on bounding into comics. Yes. Do you realize this FundMe campaign violates GoFundMe terms of service? Read Section 8 of what is not allowed by GoFundMe's restrictions. You are funding someone under the investigation for potential crime. I think it's a civil case, not a criminal case, but whatever. The comments from the Comicsgate crowd have really helped encourage people to donate. Keep up the good work, you sad little virgins. That's not very nice. Eric, he is being sued and asking for money. However, he has not accurately represented why he's being sued. This page leads one to believe he's being sued for defending women and minorities. That's only true in his mind. He's being sued because he allegedly committed tortious interference and interfered with a business contract between Richard C. Meyer and Antarctic Press. Is it true? That's up to the judge. Still, it makes no difference. He's misleading people into thinking that this money will be going to help, quote, protect women and minorities. It won't. It's going to help Mark Waid pay his legal expenses after being accused of committing a crime. Mark Waid is a garbage person who destroys people's lives. Read this before supporting. Shannon Pierce Outlaw. I'll read some of it. I've gone back and forth on this very personal post, but I am seething with so much rage, I have to let it out. I'm done pretending it didn't happen. The non-disclosure agreement has been up for years, and I've never had to sign a thing. F. Mark Waid. The man got into business with us. He created a partnership for the comic book store that was never technically legalized. When his POS girlfriend decided she wanted Jason gone, he sided with her, knowing it was wrong. When it got bad and we finally lawyered up, we were told, do you have tens of thousands of dollars? Because he does, and he's going to drag this out in court. We can win, and we will win, but that's what you're going to owe in fees. Can you cover that? Because he can. I know his lawyer, and he's giddy at the prospect. We let the store go. 10 years of my best friend's life was gone. 10 years of hard work realizing a dream that was ripped away from him. And to add insult to injury, he left that store with $150K in annual sales, $100K in product and fixtures, and Mark paid him less than $5K to shut his mouth and walk away. That was our reality. A rich, recognized, wealthy white man wanted more and took it. Robbed the little guy, smeared his name, took his business, and then a year later broke up with the girlfriend and signed it all over to her like it didn't even happen. He ran, literally, flew across the country and ran from his problems. He throws money around or he runs and hides. My name is Amanda. I'm a 30-year-old comic book fan from Scotland. 6 years ago, I ran afoul of Dan Slott and Stephen Wacker when I was critical of Slott's take on Black Cat and Spider-Man on a message board. Began stalking me on the forum and telling me to F off for insisting that I was a virgin. They have an obsession with virginity for some reason. When I proved that claim to be false, I wonder how he proved the claim to be false? ? Their aggression extended to and wound up mostly targeting my husband, who also posted on the forum. Really, though, they were chump change. They were sad little trolls who were never able to deal with any criticism. Very true. And as soon as they found out I was actually a woman, they were completely lost with how to deal with it. So they instead slandered my husband across multiple different websites, got him banned from forums, CBR, crawlspace, Comic Vine articles, and write-ups on websites I contributed to, comment sections. They insisted we were racist and sexist and the stuff that's seen as the usual guff now. They apparently got bored of it after a few months, but along the way had introduced Mark Waid to us. Mark Waid spent the next 2 years taking what had been just an online campaign to further levels. He had no interest or actual interaction with either me or my husband. He saw it and got involved just because he obviously liked the idea of attacking people with accusations that made him look like a moral hero. He and some of his followers got my husband fired from a job and me kicked out of university only a few months before graduation, with enormous claims that we were bigots. He and others harassed our Facebook friends, insisting they explain why they are friends with us, and spreading completely unfounded claims of me and my husband being white nationalists. He would cite a false made-up example. Then, when asked for evidence on that, he couldn't produce any. Instead, pulled out an even bigger made-up story to draw attention away from the first. We eventually had to nuke all our personal accounts. Both our lives were effectively ruined. My husband was unemployable and feeling like a burden, attempted to kill himself. I had now wasted years studying, amassing student debts with no actual result, and had worked 3 different jobs, etc., etc. Chris says, hard pass on this. The unmitigated gall to act like Waid is innocent in this kerfluffle is hilarious. Mark appears to have a history of being an angry antagonist, and anyone who is familiar with how he acts when he doesn't get his way can attest to this. If you were to pay for a wealthy man's legal fees because you like his comics, that's your business. But this is happening because he inserted himself into a business arrangement of someone he didn't like. I do not believe he is a hero to the weak. I believe he is a very angry person who hastily picks fights and only publicly virtue signals his heroic intentions while never actually accepting any responsibility for being a rude jerk. Plenty of links to back this up. Then again, it's your money to waste. Some people waste their money backing crowdfunding projects. Yeah. Okay, that's the same one. Jesus. If you support this, knowing of his tortious interference with Richard Meyer and Antarctic Press, you are fundamentally a bad person. Even if you hate DNC, who would hate DNC? You cannot support this and be in the right because everything Waid did was in the wrong legally and morally. Oh, that's yet to be adjudicated. This man is no hero. He doesn't stand up for the weak. He keeps them under his boot. He doesn't care about women, doesn't care about people of color. He doesn't care about the LGBTQ plus community. He only uses them as weapons for his own gain. This is an evil man who needs to learn that he doesn't get to ruin other people's livelihoods. Not anymore. Andrew says, here's how Mark Waid treats women, people of color, when he's not on camera. Bounding into Comics article from 2018, October 26. Mark Waid is accused of abusive behavior and poor business practices by former business partner. I believe that was one of the things I read earlier. Rick is all for white men destroying the livelihood of POC independent business owners. Good to know. Mark rules, Richard drools. Every time Trevor and Andrew post, Mark gets another couple $100 in donations. Sad to see Mark Waid become such a villain. Well, look at that. The who's who lineup of people I should never buy products from again. Mark Waid is an ideological bully, a coward, and broke the law by committing tortious interference. Did I mention that he broke the law? If you stand with him, yada, yada, yada. Another one of hero Mark Waid's victims. Why is it that he primarily targets women and people of color to bully and harass like this? There's a website, Bring Back Wendell Vaughn, Tumblr.com, Mark Waid. Neil says, I oppose hate and support genuine comics artists. Well, so do I. God, that's beautiful.